Okay, so recently you probably have seen a situation going on with Wuthering Waves, including the version 2.3 special broadcast. Now, I made a whole video on this, talking about my initial reaction and pretty much what I think about this overall announcement, which Wuthering Waves has announced. Now, if you don't know, I'll just give you a quick recap. They said they're pretty much sorry for everything that happened in the live stream, and well, they're going to be giving us an extra 30 pools, obviously 20 of them being limited, and then 10 of them being standard. So again, a lot of people were very satisfied with that, and me personally, I'm quite satisfied with that reward. I say reward, like compensation, I guess. But obviously, I feel like, maybe they could have done a little bit more. I felt like this was probably like the bare minimum in terms of how much I'm satisfied with this. So I'm still satisfied, but it's probably like the lowest I could be out of all of it. So again, I think that's why a lot of people have a lot of mixed opinions on this. And what I wanted to go through a couple of the community reactions and everything like that, to kind of get a sense of what everyone is thinking, whether it's from, the YouTube community, the Reddit community, people over in China as well, and also some other communities as well, which I thought would be very, very interesting to go through, as there's been a lot of mixed opinions, especially in my comment section and everything like that, which also I found quite interesting, because obviously the like ratio on the video is actually doing pretty good. Like I included all the devs listen stuff, all the funny, yeah, I gotta farm it. And where it was still, pretty positively received, but there was still a lot of comments of people being like, I'm not happy with it, and which is totally fine. And I think, you're entitled to your own opinion whenever it comes to this kind of stuff. Now, obviously, one of the first posts we're going to look at is the Wuthering Waves post. They put exactly the same post they did on Twitter over on their post over on YouTube community. Sorry, I said post a lot. They say, we don't deserve you, Kuro. So yeah, there is a kind of mix of what the audience thinks here. So yeah, that one there, they say, I thought the broadcast went well, but thank you, much appreciated. I really wasn't expecting this. This felt awesome. I'm a bit confused. Virtually no one said that the broadcast was badly structured. Now, I think they were referring to the badly structured part as the fact that they were going, okay, but wait, there's more. Okay, wait, there's more, which obviously kind of baits people into thinking, okay, we got something pretty huge, when it could just be something pretty bad, which I think that was the kind of structure that they were talking about. I think the overall broadcast itself with Solon and all of the other developers kind of interacting was actually fine. I felt like they had quite a bit of, I guess, dynamic between them, which was quite nice. I thought that honestly they'd kind of improved a lot of their stage presence and stuff like that as well. I felt like they could get on much better in front of the camera, which honestly I thought looked better. But I feel like, yeah, the kind of egging people on to that kind of thing is what they're kind of referring to here in the apology. People obviously talking about the cycle. Devs do something bad, it's so Kurova, gets fixed, devs listened, we're here, game is going like normal. So again, this is a cycle that happens quite a bit, and obviously a lot of people are creating like their own theories and stuff, like being like, oh, is this like Kuro Games' secret master plan to get everyone to like them? No, I honestly don't think that is the case. I don't think Kuro Games planned for this to happen. I don't think Kuro Games, meant for this to happen. Maybe they had contingency plans like this, which I mentioned in my last video. Every company has a contingency plan just in case something goes wrong. But I don't think they're planning on trying to pretty much have a whole thing to kind of get a bit more public opinion and a bit more like, positive public opinion, sorry, by doing this kind of stuff. I don't think it helps them at all, because there are still a lot of people that are disgruntled despite them giving some of these rewards, which is totally, fine. And obviously people saying, I've never seen devs reply faster to the public opinion. I respect the efforts. We respect your dedication, Kuro, and support. I've personally always loved you, which again, holy, anyways, please bring back Dong. Why is he not there? Again, dear Kuro Games, we appreciate the honesty and transparency. I believe this attitude goes a long way. This is why I love the devs, which again, I think that the fact that, Kuro Games has replied so quickly and they've, had a very good apology in terms of text form, not in terms of giving out rewards or compensation or anything in return, they did pretty good. I felt like they, got to it fast. They did the right thing whenever it comes to listening to the players. Obviously, I think, in terms of, what we've gotten in return for this, I think that's a completely different conversation. But I think the overall apology was good, and I felt like, they've done a pretty good job here. And it seems like a lot of the comments in the YouTube comments, at least the ones that I'm seeing, these are sort of by top comments, by the way, are positive. So again, the YouTube community seems to be pretty positive, but I do know that isn't the entirety of the case. In other communities, it does get worse, which we're going to get into. Obviously, congratulations, Kuro Games. Thank you very much for the rewards. I was in a super bad mood because my plans got cancelled because of certain circumstances. This immediately brought a smile to my face. They're saying, I think we should stop watching leaks and overhyping stuff, which again, I do think is true. So I don't get it. What is the problem with this special problem? I actually liked it. So a lot of people over here are very positive, which again is great if people think that. And obviously it's great for Wuthering Waves and Kuro Games. I feel like, the rewards were adequate. So I feel like, that's pretty positive for them. Now, obviously, oh my holy flashbang, Jesus Christ. If we go over to to Billy, we got some comments as well. Obviously, they posted the same apology as well on Billy. And obviously, a lot of people are saying he's talking about signing activities. What is a signing activity? If it's really a temporary conversation, you must send an email. This activity package is done in advance. So yeah, I don't know what they're talking about there. But there was some that I saw, like, for example, this one is actually asking for a face-to-face live broadcast, which could be a good thing. I feel like, you know, that should have been something that maybe Kuro Games could have considered, is the fact that maybe they should have made a video, made a live stream or something, kind of addressing this stuff, to give it, like, more of a personal feel, and, like, they were talking to the players rather than just a message. But honestly, I don't think a message is bad. You know, I feel like it's still good, and I think they still managed to get the impact that they wanted to get with that. Obviously, other people saying as well, stream saving, golden ball 10, weapons 10, standard 10, praise so. So again, they're not too happy about it, I guess. They say, you mean you anticipated being flushed in advance and did all the compensation check-ins, right? And it also limited, so again, some people were also saying that apparently this was the plan all along. This is one of the big things I've seen in the Chinese community, is the fact that a lot of them think that this has been like a pre-planned thing by Kuro Games. And I'm pretty sure I even saw a screenshot somewhere of like a live stream, like screenshot of them being like, hey, this is a screenshot of like an event that you've already kind of, I guess, like set up, like in preparation for a lot of this backlash. And they're saying, oh, well, because, you know, this event was already in the live stream, it means that you were expecting this and that this was the plan all along, which I don't know if that's true or not. And obviously, you know, I feel like maybe they're going a little bit too far with that. And I've seen even some people in the EN community talking about that too, that it's all Kuro's big plan. I just don't think it is. I feel like we're getting a little bit too, you know, kind of like theory crafting, I guess, about like what they're doing. I think that's just a little bit weird. The same, you know, as it goes with the Hoyo group as well, which was apparently spreading a lot of misinformation. I feel like people get too like very hypothetical about that kind of stuff as well. Yeah, they say, although the slide packs are unlocked, I still want to see Cutty Machine. I don't know what that means. Obviously, there's a lot of stuff that I don't understand due to the translations that is coming in. People want it directly. Obviously, some people are mad at the fact this is a check-in, but honestly, I'm not too mad due to the fact of a lot of people were arguing the fact of new players. They were getting a lot of stuff in the updates, and existing players weren't getting enough themselves, which obviously was a very valid concern. And I feel like if you're an existing player, you're going to still be logging in and doing the daily check-in events. You can't just go, oh, I wish there was more stuff for existing players, and go, oh, why do I have to log in? Why do I have to, you know, why can't I get it in the mail? I feel like it's just like, okay, you know, I don't know. They say these 30 draws were made by So Long in the last round, and all players asked him if he had any benefit, and it's estimated that our old Den could die happy. I don't know what that means, but again, it seems like it's a bit of a mix of kind of, I guess, a reaction from the Chinese community here. Obviously, a lot of people just wanting a little bit more, but honestly, I don't think it's, you know, the end of the world. They say it's okay to scold, but don't go. Delete comments and delete until your hands are soft. I don't really know, you know, what they're on about there either. Your 30 draws can't be drawn from 2.4, which again, you know, some people are saying that maybe the draws aren't long enough. Some people are saying that AI apparently predicted this, which I guess, you know, I mean, it's pretty easy to predict it. Kuro Games, it seems to be a big cycle, and obviously it's a big meme in the community that there's this cycle that goes like constantly. I don't really know what that screenshot was of the earlier thing, but apparently it is. It might be edited or something like that, and it might be just a completely different event. But that's pretty much the entirety of the Chinese community. Well, not the entirety. Obviously, there's 124,000 comments. It's been about 2 hours, which is kind of crazy. That is kind of crazy. But that is like a kind of general consensus of some of the top comments that have been on here. A lot of them are kind of just like, it's all right, but, you know, it could be improved quite a bit more. And obviously, as well, the last one is r/Gacha Gaming, who have also put up a post. We know how r/Gacha Gaming react to a lot of Wuthering Waves stuff. They're very anti-Kuro, they're very pro-Hoyo. That's why they're called Hoyo Gaming. That's why people call them Hoyo Gaming in the community. But essentially, someone put up this. I feel like this wasn't too instigating or anything. They were literally just putting up news of the fact of, hey, you know, they've actually released some more information. And obviously the top comment here is a simplified version of the Devs Listen thumbnail. If you guys know what that is, the Mr. Pokey thumbnail of him here saying Devs Listen Yinlin there, which again is kind of funny to see. Obviously, yeah, people were constantly putting this down, which I think is true. Obviously, a lot of people are saying Devs Listened at the moment, including myself. I feel like even if the devs like could have released like the worst thing ever, I feel like Devs Listen still applies. You know, devs still listened. It's just like a fact of, did the devs listen and then create some good rewards? Or did the devs listen and they didn't do anything about it? You know, I feel like there is like two kind of sides to it. But hey, you know, obviously a welcome move for sure. But I feel like this is getting to the point of manufactured devs listen. So again, they're also under the impression that this is manufactured rather than just like, you know, Kuro Games just being a little bit dumb. I'm going to be honest. I feel like that is the reason why. I feel like Kuro Games just aren't very smart and aren't very pragmatic whenever it comes to releasing this kind of stuff. And, you know, they constantly mess up. We've seen it many times in the past with other kind of situations too. And I feel like, you know, this is no exception. This is another, you know, case of this happening. And it's just due to Kuro Games just messing up. I'm going to be honest. I feel like Kuro Games is just a company that messes up quite a bit at the moment, which is okay. Especially if you know, respond with replies like this. And I do understand why a lot of people are still angry now as well. It's mainly due to the fact of like, you know, a lot of these rewards that we're getting, obviously people would be happy that we're getting an extra 30 pulls. But also, I think some people were unhappy with the fact that they didn't just do it in the first place. And that, you know, people would have been happy with getting 50 or like 60 pulls even, like straight off the bat in the anniversary. And people would have been like, okay, that's pretty good. But the kind of view of this is a lot more negative now due to the fact of them kind of, you know, releasing it afterwards. And, you know, is not actually included with the anniversary stuff, which I think, you know, provides a different kind of, I guess, outlook on it. Like, people are more negative towards it because it feels more like an apology rather than rewards, which, again, it makes me think that's why it's not manufactured as well, because, like, why would you do that? I think, honestly, the better thing would have just been to release it straight away and not done this whole, you know, apology thing, if that was what Kuro Games did. But honestly, I feel like a lot of people are kind of just making stuff up there, and I feel like it is kind of stupid to believe that, you know, this is all manufactured. I feel like it is just the case that Kuro Games just messed up, and they mess up quite often, which, again, is a shame, but at least they do rectify a lot of their mistakes later on. Obviously, people saying, all memes aside, how many more times can they pull off this strat before even the most hardcore fans start catching on? I mean, honestly, I feel like I don't really get this comment because in the end, it does work out. I feel like although it does suck for a short period of time, and some people are like start going on like DEFCON 5 and they're like, oh my god, Wuthering Waves is going to die because, you know, there's all this like problems with it or whatever, or problems with the rewards. But honestly, at the end of the day, by the time the update comes out or there's or after the problem, you know, a couple days later, Wuthering Waves just go ahead and fix it and it's fine. And I feel like that is, you know, what you got to take away from this is the fact that Wuthering Waves always do fix those. Obviously, there's still problems in Wuthering Waves, don't get me wrong, but Wuthering Waves do fix the major problems that go on in the game pretty quickly. And, you know, whenever it comes to the end product and what we get, because the anniversary isn't even out yet, it's still kind of positive, you know, it's still great, and it's still, you know, it's still what a lot of the players want. And I feel like, you know, people saying like, oh, how many times can they do this? They could do it as much as they like, to be honest. As long as, you know, we get the final result that we always have been getting, they could do it every single time. Obviously, it creates more content for me as well. I mean, you know, I'm not too opposed to that. So I feel like a lot of people are being like, oh, how many times more can they do this? They can't keep getting away with this type stuff. It's honestly not that bad. Now, would I prefer them to do it straight up and them to actually get everything right? Of course, you know, it's a company. But as long as they're getting things right eventually, it's okay. You know, it's fine. I don't think it's the end of the world. They say, as I expected, this is what we call K9 training and CN. So they're pretty much saying that, you know, they're playing us apparently. I'm not gonna lie, lustrous tide value is diminished the more you play the game, which again, some people can argue that. I do understand. I'm curious to know how CN players will react to this. Again, we looked through some of the CN kind of stuff. They are very constructive with a lot of their feedback. They say, yes, the usual wuwa fuck up, and then save Kuro Games comes in clutch to bless the player base with their generosity. Kind of sad that they still have to use this tactic on the anniversary. Again, more people creating the kind of narrative that the fact that, you know, this is manufactured. Obviously, here is the eternal cycle that everyone mentions, by the way. It's kind of funny. I feel like this is a popular theory that's going around, and it's a common theme in every single post we've seen, apart from maybe YouTube. YouTube was very, very positive, which kind of surprises me. But yeah, it's a very common theme that people think it's manufactured. I mean, maybe it is, but like, honestly, I just don't think, like, in my opinion, I don't think it'd be worth it for Kuro. I feel like they would have had a much more positive outlook if they just gave it straight up. So yeah, I feel like it's a little bit confusing, but those are pretty much all of the reactions that we've had from community members, not creators, just community members in general about this kind of stuff. And it seems like it's pretty mixed. You know, some people are all right with it. I feel like the majority of people are just fine. Some people are super happy, which again is great for them. Some people are super mad, which again sucks for them. And I feel like, you know, this is never going to be something that a lot of people agree on. It's just going to be something that constantly gets brought up and constantly people just fight over, I guess, which is kind of a shame. And obviously, I feel like that is another reason as to why I don't think this is manufactured, because again, it does create a lot of discourse in the community, which can be very rocky. I mean, sometimes it can work out really great for Wuthering Waves, and they will gain a lot of, you know, PR bonuses from it. But it's a very, I guess, chaotic route to go down, because it could go very bad at the same time, you know, which makes me think that the instability of this, they wouldn't actually purposely do something like this. But hey, you know, maybe someone will come up with some information. I don't know. Like, I doubt they will. And I feel like this is just going to be something that people are going to be debating for a very, very long time. But yeah, don't forget to leave a comment down below. Let me know what you guys think about this. Are you happy with this or not? Obviously, I looked through some of the comments in the last video. It seems like a lot of you guys were not happy with what's going on. But hey, let me know, and let me know what you think about all the other kind of points that are brought up by some of these commenters. But again, it's very interesting to see what they think about this overall. But yeah, if you guys did enjoy this video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. Also go to GameStop, use code Keza, get 10% off. Again, they've got a ton of really cool stuff over there. I definitely recommend checking it out. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. That's all. See ya.